Experts claim that we cannot multitask, but that's not true. We can do multiple tasks at once, we're just not very good at it. For example, people who use their phone while driving. They can send a quick text or check out the latest newsfeed, but often they crash their car. With more devices, screens, information, and responsibilities than ever before, distraction has become inevitable. We know we should improve our focus, but what can we do? Why are we distracted? And what is focus really? First, let's get into what focus really is. Then we will explore 3 sources of distraction and then look at ways to eliminate those distractions. So first, what is focus? Based on the previous research and definitions by expert, I would define focus as the ability to one-pointedly direct your attention. That sounds pretty basic, but there are important nuances in this definition, which actually make it really cool. First, the word ability indicates that focus is a skill, and a skill you can develop. So it is important to understand that focus is something we can learn. Just as you can go to the gym to exercise and grow your muscles, so you can exercise in a mental gym and grow your mind muscles. By constantly seeking clarity, reflecting, and developing an effective system, we can build habits and gradually but consistently improve our focus. Second, the word one-pointedly refers to the quality of your attention being distraction-free, to not engage in multiple tasks at once. Experts claim that we cannot multitask, but that's not true. We can do multiple tasks at once, we're just not very good at it. For example, we're making pesto. We roast some pine nuts in a skillet, then in the meantime we crush some basil, we check some things on our phone, and we haven't watched the pine nuts for maybe 2 seconds, and they're burned. Or what about people who use their phone while driving? They can send a quick text or check out the latest newsfeed, but often they crash their car. So we can multitask, we just cannot multi-focus. In scientific research, they often use the term selective attention, which is the process of focusing on a particular object in the environment for a certain period of time. The third nuance in this definition is to direct, which refers to your autonomy to control your attention. Just like a photographer can focus an image by controlling the aperture on a camera lens. If the photographer rotates the lens, he can direct the focal point of the lens, displaying a clear image on the camera sensor. Similarly, you, the entity that can control the mind, you have the ability to direct your attention to permit clear perception or understanding. You just have to make an effort to direct your attention and exercise control over it, otherwise your mind does whatever it wants and spoils your attention. The fourth and last nuance in this definition is attention. Attention refers to how we actively process specific information in our environment. It's the process of ignoring irrelevant information and stimuli and centering focus on the things that really matter. Usually we talk about the short-term processing of information. For example, reading a book and not being aware of the neighbor's dog barking, writing something and not hearing your partner calling you that dinner's ready. Generally, attention is about focusing on particular stimuli in the moment. However, we can also look at attention in the long term. Now we're talking about much more than being able to concentrate on a particular task without being distracted. We're talking about mental clarity and having a clear understanding of where you want to be in life and what you should be doing to get there. You could use your attention to clearly perceive the bigger picture. To get that level of clarity, you have to put in the hard work. The techniques in this video will help you achieve that. But why is it that we struggle so much? Why is it so difficult to constantly exercise control over how we direct our attention? It's because our mind gets pulled left, right, and center. We have so many things in our environment that are screaming for attention. And there's an overload of information and plenty of time wasters causing constant distraction. And we should learn to tune out distraction and focus our attention on the things that really matter. To help us understand why we are distracted, we should discuss triggers, stimuli that lead us to do something. They come in 2 forms: external triggers and internal triggers. External triggers come from the outside world. Think of notifications on your smartphone or your laptop. Internal triggers come from within. Think of feeling bored, stressed, or hungry. These triggers either lead to traction or distraction. Traction pushes us forward and stimulates us to pursue our goals. Distraction does the opposite. It drags us away from our goal. This video focuses on external triggers. We'll discuss 3 triggers that drag us away from our goals and what you can do to eliminate these triggers to win back your attention and be more focused. The first cause of distraction: attention residue, the killer for any creative endeavor. Attention residue comes from the psychology literature. Sophie Leroy, a psychology researcher, coined the term in 2009. She found that if you're focused on a difficult task and you shift your attention to something else, even if it's just for 1 minute, and you come back to the original difficult task, then there's a residue left from that context switch, and while the residue fades away, your cognitive performance has declined. If we constantly switch between tasks, what we're doing is we're loading the context of what we're doing into our working memory over and over again. And so every notification on your phone, every ping, every buzz, quickly checking email, Facebook, Instagram, in between those tasks, that causes attention residue. Sometimes this is called the cognitive switching penalty. As a result, we're left distracted, unproductive, and cluttered. So how do we eliminate attention residue? Stop multitasking. It sounds easier than it is, but to help you with that, you could schedule deep work. You can block out parts of your day to perform activities in a state of distraction-free concentration, also called time boxing. Identify the times of the day that you're the most focused and block these times for deep work. During these time slots, you create new value and improve your skill, and you focus on one activity at a time. Then, at other times of the day, you can perform tasks that are less cognitively demanding and are more logistical style tasks that you can perform while being distracted. The second cause of distraction is intermittent positive reinforcement. Psychology researchers consider intermittent positive reinforcement the most powerful motivator on the planet, but you could argue that it also is the most manipulative. Intermittent reinforcement simply is about giving random and unpredictable rewards in response to repeated behavior. It turns out that uncertainty for rewards is a powerful motivator for behavior. But why is that? Research shows that the uncertainty for rewards releases dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that plays a starring role in motivating behavior. When we engage in a beneficial behavior, then dopamine rewards us with a pleasurable feeling, which motivates us to repeat that behavior. For decades, casino owners have used this learning to their advantage in slot machines. And now the social media platforms are utilizing this technique to get more of your attention. And the more of your attention they have, the more distracted you are. For example, every time you post something on social media, it's like a gamble. Will I get likes or retweets or hearts or comments or shares, or will I get no response? It's like pulling on the lever of the slot machines, hoping to win the jackpot. And when you have pulled that lever, you're in great anticipation. And as soon as the notifications come in an unpredictable way, you get that dopamine release and you feel as if it's a pleasurable thing. And you even forget you had to write that paper or finish that report. So then take intermittent positive reinforcement and add in notifications, swipes, and never-ending feed in the mix, and you've got yourself an addiction formula that keeps you glued to the screen. How to eliminate intermittent positive reinforcement? Intermittent positive reinforcement comes from the new digital technologies we're using. Mobile applications most of the time. You should consider whether you really need to have all the notifications of every app turned on. Perhaps you only need a couple. So you could go through your list of applications and turn off all the notifications that are non-essential, meaning that they generally don't deliver outstanding benefits. Generally, there are only a few applications that are of vital importance. Another, perhaps even better solution is to delete these non-essential applications from your phone and use these services on your desktop instead. In this way, you're less likely to be distracted while performing your deep work. And finally, the third cause of distraction is FOMO, the fear of missing out. The feeling that others are having more fun living better lives, or experiencing better things than you are. FOMO causes significant stress in our lives, and this phenomenon is amplified by social media. Research shows that social media are both the cause and effect of FOMO. As you'd expect, people who are using social media at a high rate, they may experience FOMO as a result. But what is more interesting is that FOMO triggers people to spend more time on social media. So it's basically a vicious cycle. On social media, we're comparing our regular life to the highlights of other people's lives. And that skews our sense of normal and makes it seem that our lives aren't as interesting as that of others. Think of the photos you see of your friends having fun without you. You often wish you could be there. And it is not that previous generations didn't have FOMO. They did, but they had it on much smaller occasions. We are confronted with these messages every day. Of course, we don't want to look at photos and videos of people complaining and whining all the time. But this overly perfect portrayal of our lives is harmful rather than beneficial to our mental well-being. And then there's all the information that we are being bombarded with. In 2018, we created 2.5 quintillion bytes of data every day. That's 2.5 and 17 zeros. That's the equivalent of 500 million DVDs every day. Every day. Can you imagine? There's so much content being created. There's so much of that we want to consume. We need to read this article, read that book, listen to this podcast or this audiobook, watch this documentary, that video, this Netflix series, take this course. We want this, we want that. There are innumerable things we'd like to do. Oh my God, how can I keep up? The answer is you can't. Don't try to do it all. You must be selective. You should identify the things that you value the most. Then make that a checklist. And then before you engage in an activity or a new activity, it must tick off something on that list. Then you know you're on track with the things that your rational, well-considered, deep working self has come up with. That was it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm hoping that these insights are useful and you have taken away something that you can do today to improve your focus. Now, go make a change.